I'll discuss the classification of magnetic materials. Classification of magnetic materials. Okay, so how are the magnetic materials classified? Okay, so first is diamagnetic. Okay, first one is diamagnetic. Then you have got paramagnetic, and then you have got ferromagnetic. Basically in these three main classes only they are classified. Then there is antiferromagnetic and ferromagnetic. They are nothing but similar to ferromagnetic only. Okay, so so diamagnetic, paramagnetic and ferromagnetic. Okay, so what is the difference between diamagnetic, paramagnetic and ferromagnetic? So diamagnetic is it has no permanent dipole. Okay, diamagnetic it has no permanent dipole. Okay, paramagnetic also it actually has it has permanent dipole. Okay, and ferromagnetic has got it also has permanent dipole. Okay, actually this is not a very good definition. Actually, you cut this is not a very good way of defining these materials. Okay, they are these diamagnetic materials. They are feebly repelled by actually a magnet. Feebly repelled by the magnetic field. Repelled by the magnetic field. They are feebly repelled by the magnetic field. Okay, they have no permanent. They have actually no magnetic moment. No permanent magnetic dipole moment. No permanent magnetic dipole moment. Okay, these paramagnetic materials, what happen? They are feebly attracted by the magnetic field. They are feebly attracted by the magnetic field. Okay, ferromagnets, they are very strongly attracted by magnetic field. Okay, they are very strongly attracted by magnetic field. Okay, now in a non-uniform, I'm writing in short. Okay, in a non-uniform magnetic field, they move from strong to weak region of the magnetic field. Okay, so their paramagnetic is opposite. They move from weak to strong region, weak to strong region of B. They also the same thing, weak to strong. Okay, weak to strong. And in a magnetic field they are repelled. And paramagnetic, what happens in paramagnetic material? What happens in paramagnetic material? When a magnetic field is applied, then what happens? The when a magnetic field B or H is applied, then the dipoles, okay, when B or H is say not applied, when B or H is not applied, then the dipoles are arranged haphazardly. Okay, just how they are arranged? Like this. This is suppose the magnet, like this, like this, like this, like this. So net magnetic moment is 0. Okay, net magnetic moment is 0. When H is applied, then what happens? Then so suppose H is applied along this direction. Then what happens? Then the magnetic dipoles are arranged along the magnetic field. Okay, at this moment what happens? Now the magnetism is manifested. Now the magnetism is manifested in the magnetic material. Before that there is no. When again H is removed, then again H is removed, then again what happens? It comes back to the same state. Again like this. Again like this. Okay, again like this. So now again mu net is 0. Again mu net is 0. Okay, so this is actually temporary magnets. These are actually temporary magnets. But these the ferromagnetics, they are actually permanent magnets. Ferromagnetic materials are permanent magnets. Okay, why why they are permanent magnets? Because here in these ferromagnetic material there is a phenomenon occurring called as that exchange coupling. Okay, exchange coupling. That is in paramagnetic material, these magnetic dipoles are independent of each other. They are not coupled with each other. But in ferromagnetic material, these magnetic dipoles are coupled with each other. As a result of which, already there is some magnetization present. Means when H is not applied, okay, here when H is not applied, okay, when H is not applied, mu net is not equal to 0. Mu net is not equal to 0. Why? Because it has got some spontaneous magnetization, because spontaneous magnetization is there, because there is some spontaneous magnetization. Okay. Achha, then comes your again this diamagnetic, dia, para and ferro. Dia, para and ferro. Okay. Now comes what? Now comes your what will be the psi? In case of diamagnetic material, psi is is less than 0, that is negative. Xi is negative, susceptibility is negative. Okay, so if susceptibility is negative, what will happen? This mu r, the relative permeability, that will be less than 1, because why? Because mu is equal to mu naught into 1 plus psi. So psi is negative, means it will be definitely less than 1. For para, xi is positive, xi is greater than 0. Okay, positive. So definitely mu will be greater than 1. Mu will be greater than 1. And how much will be the value of mu? The value of mu will be around 10 raised to minus 6. Okay, the value of mu will be around, say, it will be around 10 raised to minus 6. Okay, ferromagnetic, so xi is very very high, very much greater than 0. Okay, ferromagnetic is much greater than 0, so mu will be much greater than 1. It will be how much? Mu will be of the order of 10 raised to 6. Okay, mu will be of the order of 10 raised to 6 for ferromagnetic material. Mu will be of the order of 10 raised to 6. Oh, actually, I told something wrong. This xi will be actually 10 raised to minus 6, and for ferromagnetic material xi will be 10 raised to 6, not mu. Okay, xi will be 10 raised to 6, and this thing. Okay, now if you put a magnet, if you the magnetic, this is the diamagnetic material. Okay, suppose this is the diamagnetic material, and these are the magnetic field. So what will happen? The lines of force, they will be repelled. Okay, they will be repelled. These are the magnetic lines of force. So what will happen? They will be repelled like this. They will go out like this. Here they will go out like this. Okay, they will be repelled. But for paramagnetic material, what will happen? There will be a large density of the flux will be, there will be a huge density of flux here inside the material, like this. Huge, the flux density will be high here. So similarly for ferromagnetic also the same thing will happen. The flux density will be much more higher here. Okay, so like this only. Like this. Okay, here the flux density will be much higher. I cannot draw it here. Okay, so from here you could see that these are the basic differences. Okay, these are the basic differences that this paramagnetic material are basically they are not diamagnetic and not magnetic only. They are repelled. Okay, the psi is negative, so they are repelled, and I mean then there are no permanent magnetic dipole moment. In non-uniform magnetic field, they will move from strong to weak region. Okay, and paramagnetic material, basically they are temporary magnet. They are magnetic, but when the external field is applied, means H here, H is not applied. H is not applied. Okay, when external field is, when H is not applied, its net magnetic moment is 0. But when H is applied, then the mu net will be some positive quantity. When H is removed, mu net will be 0. But for permanent magnet, no. In permanent magnet, when H is not applied, mu net will not be 0. When when H is applied, then mu net will increase a lot. So why for ferromagnetic material this when H is not applied, mu net is not equal to 0? Because there is already some inherent magnetism present in the permanent magnet. And why it is that? Because of this exchange coupling. Because of the exchange coupling, that is there is an The in permanent in paramagnet, there is no interaction between the magnetic dipoles, but in ferromagnetic material, these dipoles are coupled. There is a coupling interaction taking place between the dipole. So they are already, because of this coupling, they are already actually directed towards the magnetic field. If this is the way they say, because of the coupling, already some part is 80% is already directed towards the magnetic field, and the rest is say in different direction. Okay, rest is in different direction. So this is the thing. Now this is ferromagnetic, and then comes your the values of psi. For diamagnetic, psi is negative, it is less than 0, and the relative permeability is less than 1. Okay, and for paramagnetic, psi is higher, greater than 0, but less, 10 raised to minus 6, and for ferromagnetic is 10 raised to 6. So now if you plot a graph, of say psi versus t, if you plot a graph of psi versus t, how will the graph look like? Psi is less than 0, okay, and psi is temperature independent. So if you plot psi versus t, and the value of psi is negative, so it will be like this. Okay, for diamagnetic. For paramagnetic, how it will be? For paramagnetic, the relation between psi and t is what? Psi is equal to c by t. This is called as the Curie's law, and c is called as the Curie's constant. Okay, so if you plot psi versus t, the graph will be like this. Achha, for ferromagnetic material, how will the graph look like? Psi versus t will be like this. Okay, and this will be called as the TCM. What is the relation? Psi is equal to c by t minus Tc, where Tc is called as the Curie's temperature. Tc is called as the Curie's temperature. Okay, Tc is called as the Curie's temperature, and here there is complex behavior. You don't know about the behavior here. Complex behavior. Okay. This is the complex behavior. Now, what is Curie's temperature? What is Curie's temperature? The Curie's temperature is above Tc, the material is paramagnetic, and below it is ferromagnetic. Okay, above Tc it is paramagnetic, and below it is ferromagnetic. So this is the Curie's law. This is the this is the Curie-Weiss law. Okay, this is called as the Curie-Weiss law. Now this is c by t minus Tc, where Tc is called as a Curie's temperature. That is, this is the temperature. If you heat the if you heat the sample, with heating also the magnetization changes. So if you heat the sample above the Curie's temperature, the sample turns out, or the material turns out to be paramagnetic. Okay, and below the Curie temperature, the material is ferromagnetic. Okay, below the Curie temperature, the material is ferromagnetic. Okay, now now let us go to the next topic. Now there are other topics also in your book, but those are not included in the syllabus. That is theory of paramagnetism. Theory of paramagnetism. Okay, not included, not included in syllabus. Whatever I am teaching you here, only those parts you have to study. You don't have to study the rest parts. Okay. Acha, now comes your, let us now paramagnetic, you know. Okay. So now let us go to your ferromagnetism, which is the domain theory. Okay, domain theory. Now, what is the domain theory? Okay, now ferromagnetic material is divided into very small regions called as domains. Okay, a ferromagnetic material is divided into very small region called as domains. Okay, how much small region? These are the very small region. So how much small? Its its volume is 10 raised to minus 8 meter cube. Okay, and in each volume there are various magnetic dipoles like this. Okay, various magnetic dipoles, and in each magnetic dipole, all the in each domain, the magnetic dipoles are arranged in the same direction, but in different domain they are in different directions. Okay, different domain they are in different directions. Like this. Like this. Okay, and how many dipoles are there? Okay, volume of domain. Okay, and in the, how many dipoles are there? 10 raised to 11 dipoles per domain. Okay. Now now these why this a ferromagnetic material is divided into very small regions called as domains to reduce the energy, actually to reduce the energy. Okay, now this thing there is a boundary, domain boundary. The domains are separated. The domains are separated by boundary walls called as domain walls. So domains are separated by boundary walls called as domain walls. Okay, domain wall or block wall. Domain wall or block wall. Okay. Achha, now what happens here again at this region, order h is 0. Okay, now when the h is equal to something, so h is a finite value, when h is a finite value, then what happens? Then suppose h is acting along, so h is acting along along this direction. H is acting along this direction. So what will happen? Only here this domain is along only in this direction. Other domains are in different direction. Okay. So what will happen? Now actually this domain will start growing in size. Okay. This domain will start growing in size like this. This has grown in size. Okay. And the other domains will start decreasing in size. This domain will start increasing in size and the other domains will start decreasing in size. Okay. Now after some time, what will happen? After some time it will start this domain will start increasing. Okay. After some time, what will happen? All the domains will have the dipoles which will be directing along this direction. Okay, then there are suppose these many domains like this. Okay, like this. So all the dipoles, all the domains will have the dipoles in the direction of the field ultimately. Okay. Okay. All the dipoles will have, so okay, so this is called as the from I mean this I mean at this region this is called as the domain wall motion. This is called as the domain wall motion, and this is called as the rotation of the domains. This is called as rotation of the domains. Okay, now this is actually this is weak magnetic field. This is weak magnetic field, means when you are increasing the field does not increase at once to the highest value. At first gradually it increases. So when there is a weak magnetic field, in weak magnetic field what happens? That the favorable domain, okay, favorable domain gradually increases in size. That is here the